Admiral Chen's jaw tightened as the alien command echoed through the bridge. "Boarding is not an option," she replied firmly. "We welcome peaceful exchange, but Earth vessels remain under Earth control." The massive alien ship loomed in the view screen, its hull shimmering with colors that seemed to defy the visible spectrum. It dwarfed the Thunderchild by at least 4 times, yet Chen noticed its design emphasized elegance over firepower. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Kazuo Yamamoto, leaned toward Chen. "Admiral, their energy signatures suggest advanced propulsion, but relatively conventional weapon systems. Nothing we haven't theorized ourselves." Chen nodded slightly. "Interesting. They travel between stars, but don't expect to fight when they arrive." The alien transmission resumed, this time with visual. The being that appeared on screen sent a ripple of murmurs across the bridge. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with an exoskeleton that gleamed like burnished copper, the insectoid alien's compound eyes flashed with colors that shifted from green to purple. 4 manipulator limbs gestured in what seemed like irritation. "I am High Commander Zex Talon of the Tertiary Imperium. Your resistance is unexpected. Pre-FTL species typically understand their place in the galactic hierarchy." Chen straightened her uniform. "Humanity understands only that we determine our own place, Commander. Perhaps you'd care to explain this galactic concord without demands or threats." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, possibly their version of laughter or scoffing. "You have achieved spaceflight within your own system, created rudimentary AI, and developed basic energy weapons, impressive for primitives, but standard developmental markers. The Concorde has protocols for species at your stage." The bridge crew remained professional, but Chen could feel their indignation. Humanity had fought through world wars, climate crisis, and the brutal colony wars to achieve unity. They'd terraformed Mars, built the Jupiter orbital habitats, and developed quantum communication. Being dismissed as primitives stung. "Our scans indicate your vessels possess unusually advanced kinetic weapons," Zex Talon continued. "Curious prioritization of military technology over exploration. This confirms initial assessment. Potentially aggressive species requiring careful monitoring." Chen's tactical display showed 5 smaller craft deploying from the alien vessel's hangar bay. "Those ships are on intercept courses with our fleet," Yamamoto warned. "All vessels, maintain position but power defense grids," Chen ordered through the fleet comms. "No provocative actions." Turning back to the alien commander, she kept her tone measured. "Your assessment is incomplete, Commander. Humanity prioritizes both defense and exploration. We've learned through history that one often enables the other." The alien's eyes flashed red. "You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not negotiation. The Tertiary Imperium has incorporated over 300 species into the Concorde. Some required persuasion." "Captain," the sensor officer interrupted, "the smaller craft are scanning our hull composition and weapons ports. They're cataloging our capabilities." Chen made her decision. "Open a channel to all Earth vessels." "This is Admiral Chen. While we remain open to peaceful contact, we will not allow forced boarding or submission. All ships, execute defense pattern Thermopylae. Authorization Chen Delta 7. Across Neptune's orbit, 12 Earth warships moved with synchronized precision into a 3-dimensional formation that placed the Thunderchild at its center while maximizing overlapping fields of fire. Zex Talon's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Impressive coordination for primitives," he admitted, his tone shifting slightly. "Perhaps this first contact will be more interesting than standard procedure." Chen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Commander, when it comes to humanity, very little is standard. I suggest we try diplomacy again, as equals." Zex Talon's compound eyes shifted to an amber hue as he considered Admiral Chen's stance. The Tertiary commander had participated in 17 first contacts, and none had proceeded like this. The scanner data from his scout ships streamed to his neural interface, revealing details about the human fleet that challenged his assumptions. Your vessels lack standard gravitic shielding, yet employ sophisticated point defense grids. Curious priorities, he remarked, mandibles twitching with what might have been amusement. Perhaps we should exchange cultural attaches before further decisions. Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. The alien's tone had shifted too abruptly. Lieutenant Yamamoto leaned in. Admiral, their scout ships are moving to surround our formation. Energy buildup detected in their forward arrays. A classic pincer maneuver, Chen observed quietly. Not very imaginative. She addressed the alien commander, her voice remaining diplomatic. Cultural exchange would be welcome, Commander. However, your vessels are taking offensive positions around my fleet. That seems contrary to peaceful intentions. The bridge of the Thunderchild hummed with tension as tactical officers tracked the alien movements. Chen had studied historical first contacts extensively, both real and theoretical. She recalled Professor Li's lectures at the Academy. When superior technology meets inferior numbers, mobility becomes survival. The Treasury commander's mandibles clicked rapidly. Standard security protocol. Admiral, your weapons remain active after all. His secondary arms moved in complex patterns, likely issuing silent commands. The Concord has found that emerging species benefit from guidance. Your unusual development path requires special consideration. On a private channel, Chen connected with Commander Jackson on the UES Dreadnought. Eva, prepare shadow maneuver on my mark. Keep it subtle. Zextelon continued, his tone increasingly condescending. The Imperium offers protection, technology, and a place within galactic society. In exchange, Earth would simply need to accept certain limitations on military expansion and resource utilization. These terms are quite generous. Chen's expression remained neutral. And if we decline these generous terms, the alien's eyes flashed crimson. Then we would be forced to conclude that humanity represents a potential destabilizing influence. The Concord cannot permit aggressive, unpredictable species to develop unchecked. The tactical display showed the Treasury scout ships completing their encirclement. Energy readings spiked on all 5 vessels simultaneously. They're targeting our communication arrays, Yamamoto reported. Standard tactic to isolate and control. Chen had seen enough. Commander Zextelon, your actions contradict your words. We came to Neptune's orbit seeking knowledge, not subjugation. If you want to understand humanity, know this: we fought for every step of our advancement. Freedom isn't negotiable. She signaled her communications officer to cut the channel, then addressed her fleet. All vessels, execute Broken Lance Protocol. Dreadnought and Valiant, shadow maneuver now. The Earth fleet responded with precision that would have impressed even the most hardened Treasury tactician. While 10 ships maintained formation, 2 vessels, the Dreadnought and Valiant, disengaged their primary drive signatures and drifted on minimal power, using Neptune's magnetic field for concealment. When the channel reopened, Zextalon's mandibles were rigid with irritation. Your stubbornness is noted, Admiral. Perhaps a demonstration will clarify your situation. He gestured with his upper limbs. Target their flagship's propulsion systems. Low yield only. The Concord prefers intact specimens. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile as the Treasury scout ships charged weapons. The aliens were about to learn that humanity's long history of warfare had taught them the value of having options always in reserve. All vessels, she ordered calmly, prepare countermeasures. Let's show our visitors how Earth handles unwelcome borders. The first shots from the Treasury scout ships lanced across space. Coherent beams of energy designed to disable rather than destroy. On the Thunderchild's tactical display, Lieutenant Yamamoto tracked their trajectories with calm efficiency. Targeting solutions complete, he reported. They're using standard approach vectors, no randomization. Chen nodded. Predictable. Execute defensive pattern Echo 7. The human fleet responded instantly. Instead of attempting to evade completely, Each vessel rotated precisely, presenting reinforced armor at calculated angles. The tertiary energy weapons struck glancing blows, their effectiveness reduced by nearly 60%. On the main view screen, Zek's Talon's compound eyes flickered with confusion. "Impossible," he chittered. "Your vessels lack shield technology, yet you've minimized damage through rotation. Angled armor has been effective since Earth's 20th century," Chen replied with deliberate casualness. "Sometimes old solutions work best." The hidden vessels, Dreadnought and Valiant, now made their move. Having drifted behind Neptune's magnetic wake, they emerged on an attack vector that exposed the rear quadrants of 3 tertiary scout ships. Kinetic packages away, Commander Eva Jackson reported from the Dreadnought. Non-lethal velocity. The packages were a uniquely human weapon, magnetically accelerated tungsten carbide projectiles with minimal propellant signatures. Nearly invisible to standard sensors, they traveled at precisely calculated speeds to disable rather than destroy. Aboard the lead tertiary vessel, alarms blared as 3 scout ships suddenly lost propulsion. Zek's Talon's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "Primitive ballistic weapons," he exclaimed, genuine shock evident in his voice. "No species has used such archaic technology against the Imperium in 2,000 cycles." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Commander, humanity has a saying. If it works, it isn't obsolete." The remaining tertiary scouts adjusted formation, bringing additional weapons to bear. Their second volley was more precise, targeting the Thunderchild's communication array and sensor clusters. "They're adapting," Yamamoto warned. "As expected," Chen replied. "Deploy countermeasures." Across the Earth fleet, small drones launched from specialized bays. These devices, no larger than ancient Earth satellites, created a complex electronic warfare screen. The tertiary targeting systems, reliant on predictive algorithms, suddenly found their calculations disrupted by false positives and signal noise. "What trickery is this?" Zek's Talon demanded, his composure visibly cracking. "Your technological level cannot support such sophisticated electronic warfare. Your assessment of our capabilities has been flawed from the beginning," Chen replied calmly. "Earth developed differently than your models predicted." The tactical situation had shifted dramatically. 3 tertiary scouts drifted powerless, while the remaining 2 struggled to maintain targeting locks through the electronic interference. The Earth fleet, formation intact, now held positional advantage. Chen opened a channel to her entire fleet. "All vessels, prepare precision strikes. Target weapons and propulsion systems only." The human counterattack demonstrated a level of coordination that left the tertiary commander speechless. Each Earth vessel fired simultaneously, using a combination of kinetic penetrators and short-range missiles that navigated through the electronic noise with unexpected precision. Within moments, all 5 tertiary scout ships hung disabled in space, their weapons and engines offline. Not one had been destroyed, a deliberate choice that spoke volumes about human tactical restraint. On the command ship, Zek's Talon's carapace had paled to an ashen gray, the tertiary equivalent of blanching with shock. "How?" he demanded. "Your species has not even achieved faster than light travel. Your weapons should be primitive." Admiral Chen's expression remained professionally neutral, but her eyes conveyed the steel behind her response. "Commander, humanity's path to the stars wasn't easy. We fought 3 world wars and the colony conflicts before achieving unity. Those struggles taught us to perfect the art of warfare, even as we hoped never to use it again." She gestured to the disabled tertiary vessels on the view screen. "This was a demonstration of restraint, not capacity. I suggest we return to diplomatic discussions. As equals this time." News of the Neptune encounter spread through the galactic concord with unprecedented speed. In the Grand Assembly Hall on Xalterish, representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations gathered in emergency session. The circular chamber, with its soaring crystal dome that captured and refracted starlight into dazzling patterns, buzzed with agitated conversations in dozens of languages. War Minister Krulvos, a Treasury noble whose carapace bore the burnished gold markings of ancient military lineage, strode to the central podium. Unlike Commander Zex Talon's more diplomatic bearing, Krulvos embodied the warrior caste's intimidating presence. His mandibles clicked sharply for attention. "Esteemed members of the Concord," he began, his translator conveying his words in the standard galactic pidgin. "Reports of a minor setback near the pre-FTL world designated Sol 3 have been greatly exaggerated. 5 scout vessels experienced technical malfunctions during a routine classification procedure." From the Volari delegation, Ambassador Telesora rose. Her crystalline skin caught the chamber's light, creating prismatic patterns that reflected her emotional state, currently showing patterns of skepticism. The Volari, renowned as the Concord's premier merchants and information brokers, rarely spoke in full assembly. With respect, War Minister, her melodious voice carried clearly, "My delegation has received unedited sensor logs from the Neptune encounter. The humans demonstrated military capabilities that significantly exceed standard development models." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Volari's information networks were legendary for their accuracy. Krulvos's compound eyes flashed crimson. The Imperium questions the source of this alleged footage. Classification of new species falls under Treasury jurisdiction, as agreed in the founding compact. Science Director Nix Marin, representing the Treasury's progressive faction, moved to a secondary podium. Smaller than Krulvos, and bearing the blue-green carapace markings of the scientific caste, he presented a stark contrast to the War Minister. "The encounter data deserves serious analysis," Nix Marin stated. "The humans exhibited behavioral and technological anomalies that suggest a unique development path. Their military capabilities appear to have advanced beyond their propulsion technology, a reversal of standard evolutionary models." The Lithid representative, Elder Keksta, shifted her silicon-based form to create the vibration patterns that served as her species' speech. The translator converted it to words. "The Lithid communion finds this deviation fascinating. Species that develop contrary to established patterns often contribute unique perspectives. We propose observation rather than intervention." War Minister Krulvos's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of barely contained anger. "The Imperium appreciates the Communion's scientific curiosity, but security concerns take precedence. If Sol 3 has prioritized military technology, they represent a potential destabilizing influence." Ambassador Telesora's crystalline skin flickered with patterns suggesting amusement. Or perhaps they simply recognize the value of self-defense before exploration. A rational choice given the Concord's integration protocols. The implied criticism caused an uproar among the Treasury delegation. While representatives from smaller Concord species exchanged meaningful glances, the Volari had given voice to long-whispered concerns about Treasury dominance. Meanwhile, across the void of space, Earth prepared for the inevitable escalation. In the underground Strategic Command Center beneath Geneva, Admiral Chen briefed the United Earth Defense Council. Holographic displays showed analysis of Treasury technology extracted from the disabled scout ships. Their FTL drive utilizes principles similar to our theoretical wormhole models, Dr. Sophia Podol explained, manipulating the hologram to highlight specific components. But their computational systems rely on crystalline matrices that our quantum processors actually outperform. Council Chairwoman Maya Okafor, her face bearing the traditional scarification marks of her Nigerian heritage, studied the display carefully. "Could we adapt their FTL technology with our computational systems?" "Theoretically, yes," Dr. Podol replied. "But we'd need more complete examples than what we recovered from scout ships." Admiral Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Based on Commander Zex Talon's reaction, I believe the Treasury will send a larger force. They can't allow our defiance to go unchallenged. It would undermine their authority throughout their Concord." "Then we prepare accordingly," Chairwoman Okafor decided. Implement contingency thermopylae immediately. All orbital defense platforms on high alert. Industry shifts to wartime production. And assemble your strategic think tank, Admiral. We need unconventional solutions. The following days saw Earth transform. Civilian ships were retrofitted with military-grade kinetic weapons. Asteroid mining operations in the belt converted extraction drones into autonomous defense platforms. Quantum entanglement communicators were deployed throughout the solar system to create a command network immune to conventional jamming. In an unprecedented move, the Council authorized Operation Broken Mirror, a revolutionary defensive strategy developed by an unlikely team that included military tacticians, game theorists, science fiction authors, and even historians specializing in ancient warfare. At the heart of this operation lay humanity's secret advantage. While most species develop technology along predictable paths, Earth's fractious history had created a species that approached problems from multiple angles simultaneously. The colony wars had taught bitter lessons about asymmetric warfare that now proved invaluable against a technologically superior opponent. 3 weeks after the Neptune encounter, long-range sensors detected energy fluctuations near the orbit of Pluto. The Treasury were returning, just as predicted, but this time with a battle group of 12 capital ships. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, watching the tactical display as the wormhole formed. Her expression remained calm, but her eyes held the quiet determination that had become a symbol of Earth's resistance. All ships, assume defensive posture, Leonidas, she ordered. Drone swarms to designated coordinates. Let's welcome our visitors properly. Across the solar system, humanity prepared to demonstrate that while they might lack faster-than-light travel, they had perfected something the Treasury had forgotten over millennia of dominance. Innovation born of necessity. War Minister Krell stood on the command deck of the Imperial vessel Dominance, his gold-flecked carapace gleaming under the ambient lighting. The tactical display showed his impressive battle group emerging from the wormhole in perfect formation. 12 capital ships arranged in the traditional Treasury spearhead configuration. Each vessel dwarfed even the largest human ships, their organic-looking hulls rippling with energy as weapon systems came online. Status report, Krell demanded, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Wormhole transit complete, Minister. All vessels report optimal functionality. Sensors detect primitive defenses as expected. The tactical officer's voice held the dismissive tone typical of Treasury military when discussing less advanced species. The humans appear to have gathered their fleet near the 6th planet's orbit. Curious strategy. Krell studied the display with compound eyes that had witnessed 100 subjugations. They choose to make their stand near a gas giant with complex magnetic fields. Not entirely foolish. Commence standard intimidation approach. Full weapons display, maximum visibility. The Treasury battle group accelerated toward Neptune's orbit, their hulls shimmering as shield harmonics activated in beautiful, terrifying patterns designed to demonstrate overwhelming technological superiority. It was a display that had broken the will of dozens of emerging civilizations before any shots were fired. Across the void, on the bridge of the Thunderchild, Admiral Chen watched the approaching armada with calm calculation. The tactical display showed each Treasury vessel's energy signature, movement patterns, and projected capabilities based on analysis of the scout ships. They're using a standard approach vector, Lieutenant Yamamoto observed. No attempt at concealment or dispersal. They want us to see them coming. Psychological warfare. Chen nodded. They expect us to be overwhelmed by their show of force. She opened a channel to all Earth vessels. All ships maintain communication discipline. Drone swarms in standby mode. Remember your training. We've prepared for exactly this scenario. The Earth fleet appeared conventional. 14 warships arranged in a defensive sphere around the Thunderchild. What wasn't visible were the hundreds of modified mining drones, now positioned throughout Neptune's complex system of rings and magnetic fields, each carrying either electronic warfare packages or single high-velocity projectiles. As the Treasury fleet closed to optimal range, Krell Voss addressed the human vessels. His image appeared on the Thunderchild's main view screen, mandibles spread in the Treasury gesture of dominance. "This is War Minister Krell Voss of the Treasury Imperium. Your resistance to standard classification procedures has necessitated this response. Power down your vessels and prepare for boarding. Compliance will be rewarded. Continued defiance will result in your planet's reclassification as a protectorate under direct Imperial control." Admiral Chen allowed a moment of silence before responding. "War Minister, this is Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Space Force. We have no desire for conflict, but we will not surrender our sovereignty. I propose instead. Negotiation is not available to primitives who refuse classification," Krell Voss interrupted. "You were granted one opportunity for peaceful integration. That opportunity has passed." The transmission cut off abruptly. On the tactical display, the Treasury vessels began powering weapon systems. Chen's eyes narrowed, exactly as expected. "All vessels, initiate Operation Broken Mirror. Authorization, Chen Epsilon 9. Across the solar system, humanity's response unfolded with precision that would have impressed even the Treasury war colleges. The Earth fleet suddenly dispersed in seemingly random directions, a maneuver that defied conventional tactics and momentarily confused the Treasury targeting systems. Simultaneously, from Neptune's rings, hundreds of autonomous drones activated. Some began broadcasting electronic warfare signals on frequencies identified from the captured scout ships, creating phantom targets and sensor ghosts. Others accelerated on ballistic trajectories, their minimal energy signatures making them nearly invisible against the background radiation. On the Dominance, alarms blared as sensor officers struggled to make sense of the chaotic data. Minister were detecting multiple anomalous signatures, possible ambush formation. Krell Voss's mandibles clicked in irritation. Impossible. Their technological level cannot support such sophisticated sensor deception. Fire warning salvos at their flagship. The Treasury capital ships discharged their primary weapons, beautiful, terrible beams of coherent energy that sliced through space toward the last known position of the Thunderchild. But the Earth vessels had already implemented the second phase of Broken Mirror, a maneuver inspired by ancient naval warfare from Earth's Age of Sail. "Breaking the line," Chen murmured as her fleet executed the complex three-dimensional maneuver, each vessel following a precisely calculated trajectory through the Treasury formation, disrupting their carefully maintained firing solutions. The first wave of autonomous drones struck before the Treasury could adjust. Small, fast, and loaded with concentrated antimatter packets, they bypassed shield harmonics calibrated to stop energy weapons rather than physical objects. 6 drones impacted the rearmost Treasury vessel, detonating in sequence against its propulsion systems. The massive alien ship lurched as secondary explosions cascaded through its engineering section. 3 more Treasury vessels found themselves suddenly fighting swarms of drones that seemed to anticipate their defensive responses. "What madness is this?" Krell Voss roared as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. No civilization sacrifices ships in suicide attacks. It defies all rational combat doctrine. "They're not ships, Minister," his tactical officer replied, voice tight with alarm. "They appear to be unmanned drones. Hundreds of them, using the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach until terminal phase." On the Thunderchild, Chen watched as the battle unfolded according to simulations run by her strategic think tank. Second wave, deploy now. Target their command and control systems. The Earth fleet, having passed through the Treasury formation, now executed another unexpected maneuver. Instead of continuing to flee as doctrine would predict, they reversed course and accelerated back toward the confused alien vessels, weapons firing in coordinated salvos that focused on communication arrays and sensor clusters. Krell Voss watched in growing horror as his battle group, the pride of the Imperium's expeditionary forces, descended into unprecedented disorder. 4 vessels disabled, 2 more struggling with compromised systems, and not a single human ship destroyed. "Impossible," he whispered, his compound eyes fixed on the tactical display. They fight like nothing we've encountered in 2,000 years. The footage of the Neptune battle spread through the Concorde communication networks like wildfire. Despite frantic Treasury attempts to contain it, encrypted data packets jumped from system to system, transmitted by merchant vessels, diplomatic couriers, and private traders. Within days, beings across 17 worlds had witnessed the unthinkable, a pre-FTL species routing a Treasury battle group. In the crystal-domed Grand Assembly Hall on Sol Terish, the mood had shifted dramatically. Species that had never dared speak against Treasury policies now whispered openly in the corridors. Representatives clustered in small groups, their translators working overtime as they debated the implications. Ambassador Telesora of the Volari moved with deliberate grace toward the chambers reserved for her delegation. Her crystalline form reflected different color patterns than her public appearance. These private configurations revealed her true emotional state. Intense calculation mixed with cautious optimism. 2 junior diplomats flanked her, their crystalline surfaces dulled to indicate discretion mode. The human victory creates unprecedented opportunities, she told them once secured in their private chambers. For 3 millennia, the Treasury have maintained dominance through perceived military superiority. That perception is now shattered. The senior aide's crystal surface pulsed with concern. The Imperium still commands the largest fleet in known space. Ambassador. Size means little when faced with innovation, Telesora replied. These humans defeated 12 capital ships without faster-than-light technology. Imagine what they might accomplish with it. Her surface rippled with decision patterns. Prepare my personal vessel. We make for the Sol system immediately. Similar conversations occurred throughout the Concorde worlds. The silicon-based lithids, evolution's patient children who measured time in millennia rather than years, recognized kindred problem solvers in the adaptable humans. The telepathic Nirani found themselves intrigued by broadcast emotions from the battle. Human minds under pressure demonstrated thought patterns unlike any they had encountered. And the warrior Dharmic, long relegated to secondary status despite their martial culture, saw in humans a reflection of their own values. Meanwhile, in the Treasury Imperium, crisis engulfed the ruling castes. The imperial palace on Sol Terish, a massive structure of living crystal that had stood for 10,000 years, now hosted emergency sessions of the High Command. In the war chamber, with its ancient battle maps etched into walls of polished obsidian, Fleet Admiral Dres Korin addressed the assembled military leaders. The Neptune debacle cannot stand, he declared, his black carapace marked with the red stripes of the highest military caste. We must respond with overwhelming force. I propose committing the home fleet, 300 capital ships with supporting elements. We will crush this primitive world and restore the natural order. Science Director Nix Marin rose in opposition, his blue-green carapace gleaming under the chamber's harsh lighting. Such a response would be catastrophic, politically and practically. The humans demonstrated unconventional thinking that allowed them to defeat superior technology. Scaling up our forces without tactical adaptation would simply result in a larger defeat. Admiral Dres Korin's compound eyes flashed crimson. You suggest the Imperium cannot defeat creatures who have not even mastered faster-than-light travel. I suggest, Nix Marin replied carefully, that the humans represent an evolutionary branch we have not encountered before. They developed weapon systems and tactical doctrines beyond their technological level because their history followed a different path than our predictive models. We should study them before confronting them again. The debate raged for days, while across the void, Earth prepared for the inevitable escalation. The United Earth Defense Council had converted the entire solar system into a fortress. Jupiter's shipyards operated at maximum capacity, turning out vessels incorporating Treasury technology salvaged from the battle. The asteroid belt became a minefield of autonomous weapons platforms and sensor arrays. But the most significant development occurred when an unmarked Volari merchant vessel arrived at the edge of the solar system, broadcasting a request for diplomatic contact. In a secure conference room on Lunar Base Alpha, Admiral Chen studied the alien delegation with cautious interest. Ambassador Telesaurus stood opposite her, the Volari's crystalline form shifting through patterns of formal diplomatic greeting. The Concord has never witnessed such an effective defense by a pre-FTL species, the alien diplomat began. Your victory creates possibilities. We didn't seek conflict, Chen replied. We simply refused to surrender our independence. Telesaurus' surface rippled with what the translation software identified as appreciative amusement, a sentiment many Concord members privately share. The Volari Mercantile Confederation proposes an exchange, faster-than-light technology for military partnership. The implications hung in the air between them. FTL capability would transform humanity's position in the galactic community overnight. What exactly would this partnership entail? Chen asked carefully. Protection of Volari trading interests. Defense against tertiary retaliation. The crystalline ambassador pulsed with frank assessment patterns. The Imperium will not accept their defeat. They will return with a larger force, operating under the assumption that sufficient numbers will overwhelm your defenses. With FTL capability, you could extend those defenses beyond your solar system, creating a buffer zone they would have to cross. Dr. Amara Okafor, Earth's chief xenoanthropologist, leaned forward. And the other Concord species, where do they stand? The lithids find you fascinating. The Nurani are intrigued by your emotional complexity. The Dharmic see kindred warriors. Telesaurus' form shifted to its most transparent configuration, the Volari equivalent of honest disclosure. 4 major species are prepared to break from the Concord if suitable alternatives exist. Others watch closely. The balance of power established over millennia has shifted because of you. Admiral Chen exchanged glances with Chairwoman Okafor. Humanity had sought its place among the stars, hoping to find friendship but prepared for hostility. Instead, they had accidentally become the catalyst for galactic political upheaval. We need to consult our full council, Chen finally said. But speaking personally, Ambassador, I believe humanity would be interested in allies rather than masters. Telesaurus' crystalline form pulsed with patterns that the translation software took a moment to interpret. The closest human equivalent, a satisfied smile. 6 months after the Battle of Neptune, the Sol system had transformed beyond recognition. The Volari designed faster-than-light drive cores, integrated with Earth's more advanced quantum computational systems, had proven even more efficient than their original designers anticipated. Humanity's first FTL-capable vessels, the Explorer-class ships, now patrolled the boundaries of what had become known as the Orion Coalition territory. On the observation deck of the UES Pathfinder, Admiral Chen watched as construction drones assembled a defensive platform at the edge of the Ta-CD system, humanity's first extrasolar colony. The massive structure combined lithid crystalline, computing with Earth's weapons technology, and Volari sensor arrays, a physical embodiment of the Coalition's integrated approach. Impressive progress, observed Kexta, the lithid elder whose silicon-based form shifted subtly as she spoke. Your species accomplishes in months what most require years to complete. Chen nodded respectfully to the ancient being. The lithids, who evolved over millennia rather than millennia, brought invaluable long-term strategic perspective to the Coalition. Necessity drives innovation. The Treasury won't grant us the luxury of time. Her quantum comm unit chimed with an encrypted signal from Earth Command. Chairwoman Okafor's holographic form appeared, her expression grave. Admiral, our Nurani allies have detected Treasury fleet movements. Their telepathic scouts confirm the Imperial Home Fleet has departed Exalterish, over 200 capital ships with support elements. Chen's expression remained composed, but her mind raced through tactical calculations. Earlier than our models predicted, has Science Director Nix Murrin provided any additional intelligence? The Treasury scientists' defection 3 months earlier had sent shockwaves through the Imperium, bringing detailed knowledge of Treasury military protocols and technology. Nix Murrin had proven an invaluable ally. He confirms they've adapted their tactics based on the Neptune engagement, Okafor replied. Their vessels now carry improved anti-kinetic shielding and electronic countermeasures specifically designed to combat our drone swarms. Kexte's crystalline form pulsed with decision patterns. The Treasury learn, but slowly and predictably. They seek to counter your previous tactics rather than anticipate your next innovation. Chen smiled slightly. A weakness we can exploit. Implement Coalition Defense Protocol Hydra. And inform our Dharmic allies their expertise will be required. The warrior Dharmic, with their natural armor and millennia of battlefield experience, had enthusiastically joined the coalition. Long treated as second-class citizens by the Treasury despite their martial culture, they'd brought close-quarters combat expertise that complemented human tactical flexibility. Over the next days, the coalition frantically prepared. Earth vessels equipped with Volari FTL drives deployed throughout the outer reaches of coalition space. Lithid computational matrices coordinated a complex dance of fleet movements and false signatures designed to confuse Treasury intelligence. Mirani telepaths maintained constant surveillance of the approaching armada's command structures, providing unprecedented insight into enemy intentions. What the Treasury did not anticipate was the location of the confrontation. Rather than waiting defensively, the coalition forces seized the initiative. When the Imperial fleet arrived at their staging area, a binary star system 6 light-years from Earth, they found the coalition already waiting. Fleet Admiral Dres Korin stood on the command deck of the Imperial flagship Inevitable Dominion, his black carapace now adorned with additional war markings. The massive viewscreen showed the coalition fleet, a bizarre amalgamation of human designs incorporating alien technology. They dare to meet us in open battle, he clicked to his command staff, mandibles spread in the Treasury expression of contempt. Primitive tactics from a primitive species, regardless of their alien collaborators. His tactical officer, more cautious after studying the Neptune engagement, highlighted anomalous readings. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the system. The humans appear to have deployed some form of network. Before Dres Korin could respond, the coalition fleet executed a maneuver that defied traditional space combat doctrine. Rather than maintaining formation, the vessels dispersed into seemingly random patterns, while simultaneously launching what appeared to be thousands of small objects. Drone swarms, the tactical officer warned. Similar to the Neptune pattern, but with improved stealth profiles. Dres Korin mandibles clicked in satisfaction. As anticipated, deploy countermeasures according to simulation. Their primitive tricks won't work twice. The Treasury fleet activated newly designed electronic warfare systems specifically calibrated to disrupt human drone control signals. Specialized anti-kinetic shield harmonics engage, creating layered defensive fields designed to vaporize incoming projectiles. But the expected drone attack never materialized. Instead, the small objects detonated at precisely calculated distances from the Treasury formation, creating a complex pattern of gravitational distortions that twisted space itself. Gravity mines, the science officer exclaimed. They're disrupting our formation integrity. As the Treasury fleet struggled to maintain position in the distorted space, the true coalition attack revealed itself. Human vessels equipped with Volari drives executed micro-jumps, appearing briefly to deliver devastating strikes before vanishing again. Lithid crystalline computing cores calculated each jump with perfect precision, allowing the coalition ships to materialize in the Treasury formation's blind spots. Meanwhile, specially designed boarding craft containing Dharmic warriors and human special forces targeted key Treasury command vessels. Using captured Treasury transponder codes provided by Science Director Nix Marin, they bypassed initial security systems and breached the massive ships. On the Inevitable Dominion, alarms blared as internal sensors detected intruders. Fleet Admiral Dres Korin's compound eyes flashed with rage and disbelief. Boarding actions. In ship-to-ship combat. Barbarians. His security chief's response was cut short as the deck trembled beneath them. Throughout the Treasury fleet, similar scenes unfolded as the Coalition executed a battle plan that incorporated each member species' unique capabilities into a seamless whole. In the command center aboard the UES Thunderchild, now upgraded with FTL capabilities, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with focused intensity. The Coalition forces moved with coordinated precision that would have been impossible just months earlier. "The Hydra protocol is working," her tactical officer reported. "The Treasury cannot adapt quickly enough to our shifting attack patterns." Chen nodded. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology, but our adaptability. Combined with our allies' capabilities, that creates something the Imperium has never encountered: genuine innovation under pressure. As the battle progressed, it became clear that the mighty Imperial home fleet, undefeated for 3,000 years, now faced not just defeat, but humiliation. The Treasury Imperial Palace had stood for 10,000 years, its living crystal structure growing and evolving with each generation of rulers. Never in its long history had it witnessed a day like this. In the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from 23 spacefaring civilizations gathered. The original 17 Concord members plus 6 newly recognized independent worlds. Emperor Vox Alton sat upon the crystal throne, his ancient carapace bearing the gold and purple markings of the imperial bloodline, stretching back 3 millennia. Unlike his military commanders, the emperor had lived long enough to recognize when adaptation was preferable to extinction. Flanking him stood Science Director Nix Marin, formally reinstated despite his earlier defection, a controversial decision that signaled the emperor's commitment to reform. Across the chamber stood the Coalition delegation. Admiral Helena Chen and Dr. Amara Okafor represented Earth, while Ambassador Telesaurus' crystalline form shimmered for the Volari. Helder Kext's silicon body pulsed with patient anticipation for the Lithids. The Nirani Mind leader Sortel's delicate tendrils waved gently, while Warmaster Grackle of the Dharmic stood proudly in ceremonial battle armor. "We gather to witness unprecedented change," Emperor Vox Alton began, his translator conveying his words in multiple languages simultaneously. "For 10,000 years, the Concord has maintained stability under Treasury guidance. Yet all evolutionary systems must adapt or perish." The Emperor's compound eyes shifted to the human delegation. Humanity's emergence challenges assumptions that have governed our approach to developing species. Their unique path, prioritizing defensive capability over faster-than-light travel, suggests our models require fundamental revision. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her dress uniform bearing the new insignia of the Orion Coalition, a stylized constellation surrounded by symbols representing each member species. "Earth sought only independence and security," she addressed the assembly. "The conflict that followed was never our desire. Now we seek lasting peace through mutual respect and cooperation." Dr. Okafor continued, her diplomat's training evident in her measured tone. "Humanity's history taught us harsh lessons about dominance and subjugation. We've learned that diverse perspectives strengthen the whole, that cooperation achieves more than coercion. These principles form the foundation of the Coalition." Emperor Vox Alton's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Noble sentiments from a species that decimated our home fleet. A ripple of tension passed through the chamber. The Battle of Procyon, as it became known, had ended with 67 Treasury capital ships destroyed, 89 disabled, and the remainder retreating in disarray. Fleet Admiral Dres Korin had been among the casualties. "We employed necessary force to defend ourselves," Chen replied evenly. "But we chose not to pursue your retreating vessels or strike at vulnerable Treasury worlds. Victory without restraint merely creates tomorrow's enemies." Science Director Nix Marin stepped forward, his blue-green carapace gleaming under the chamber's crystalline lighting. "The Coalition's approach merits consideration. They integrate diverse biological and technological capabilities rather than imposing homogeneity. Their tactical flexibility surpasses anything in our military doctrine." Ambassador Telesaurus' crystalline form pulsed with formal diplomacy patterns. The Volari propose a restructuring of galactic governance, not to destroy what the Treasury built, but to transform it into something more equitable and adaptive. The proposal that followed was revolutionary, a new galactic charter replacing the Concord. Power would be distributed among member species according to contribution rather than military dominance. Technology sharing would be encouraged rather than restricted. Cultural exchange would replace cultural subordination. As the assembly debated the details, unexpected allies emerged. Several tertiary noble houses, recognizing the inevitability of change, supported the reforms. Concord species previously resigned to secondary status saw opportunity in the new framework. In a private antechamber during a recess, Emperor Vox Alton confronted Admiral Chen directly. His mandibles relaxed into the tertiary expression of candor, a rare gesture toward non-tertiary. "You could have destroyed us," he said simply. "Your coalition possesses the combined capability. Why restraint when dominance was possible?" Chen met his compound gaze steadily. "Because we've seen that cycle play out in our own history. The oppressed become oppressors, and nothing truly changes. We seek something different. Idealism," the Emperor clicked, "rarely survives contact with reality." "Perhaps," Dr. Okafor interjected, "but without ideals to strive for, we're left with only power struggles. Humanity nearly destroyed itself before learning this lesson." The Emperor's compound eyes shifted colors in the tertiary equivalent of thoughtful contemplation. 3,000 years of dominance, ended by creatures who only recently discovered spaceflight. His mandibles clicked in what the translators interpreted as wry amusement. Perhaps the universe has a sense of irony after all. When the assembly reconvened, Emperor Vox Alton made his decision. The Tertiary Imperium would accept the proposed reforms, transitioning from dominance to partnership. The new Galactic Alliance would replace the Concord, with headquarters rotating among member worlds rather than fixed on Xal Turesh. One standard year after the signing of the charter, the UES Thunderchild prepared for its first mission as the flagship of the Alliance Exploratory Division. Its crew now included representatives from 7 species, its systems integrating technologies from across the galaxy. On the observation deck, Admiral Chen and Dr. Okafor watched stars streak by in FTL transit. "Sometimes I wonder if we just got lucky," Chen mused. "If the Treasury had been more adaptive, or if our tactics hadn't surprised them so completely." Okafor smiled. "It wasn't luck. Humanity spent centuries learning from our worst mistakes. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times before realizing that cooperation trumps domination, that diversity creates resilience. The Treasury never faced sufficient challenges to learn those lessons." Chen nodded slowly. "And now we're heading into truly unknown space, beyond the former Concord boundaries." "With friends?" Okafor added, gesturing to the multi-species crew working seamlessly together on the bridge below them. "That's the real victory, not defeating the Treasury, but building something better together." As the Thunderchild accelerated toward unexplored regions of the galaxy, it carried not just the hopes of Earth, but the combined curiosity of multiple civilizations. The vessel's mission patch displayed the new Alliance emblem, diverse stars forming a constellation more beautiful and complex than any single point of light could achieve alone.